over $6,000. Again, if this gets in the way of world peace and a denuclearized world, at least a denuclearized Korean Peninsula, I think cost shouldn't be the issue. But again, Dan is the accountant here. Maybe it is. What do you think?
Well, I'm a return on investment guy, so it's all about ROI. So if it's going to cost us $6,000, $12,000, I think we go for it.
What's the most expensive hotel you've ever stayed at?
$400 a night.
Really?
Yeah, and I was really out on a limb on that one.
Really?
Yeah.
Davey, what do you think of that?
I was in Singapore once, and this is how cheap I am. I didn't pay a penny for it. I stayed with a friend who happened to be living there, and I slept on his couch. So
is that friend still there?
The friend is not still there. He was a Spanish diplomat. He's moved on.
Could have worked something out.
But the bottom line, there's a lesson here, which is that everything that the government does costs more. And at this point, it costs, by my own reckoning, you're the accountant, but it's 20 times more what you were able to find on the internet. 20 times
well, maybe
more.
They're throwing in security to that.
Right? That could be the case. But listen, how much did we pay in the Iran deal? How many billions to try to get a nuke
That's right.
deal?
We had pallets of cash. And
You're telling me that the North Koreans don't know how to do security? People who blow up their own family for fun don't know how to do their own security?
They're good at this. Kathy, you've been looking into this, right?
I have. I went to Priceline.com, and I saw that the Ritz has free internet downtown Singapore for $373.
Are you kidding me?
Seriously, so we could stop nuclear proliferation with North Korea for $373.
Would this be a deal breaker to you guys? A lot of people hear this and say, all right, wait a minute. This is rogue regime, and we're going to pick up their hotel. Now, there is a rationale for this. This is how they travel, because they don't travel that often. Usually host countries pick up the tab. I didn't know that.
This is how they do it. Apparently, this is
so
how
you would absorb that, but just not $6,000 a night.
The North Koreans, they say they're very proud, yet low on funds. So high on weapons, low on funds. So if you want to make a deal with them, you have to pay up.
Why can't China pick up the tab?
Absolutely, China certainly could pick up the tab. But again, it's just so absurd the way these people spend money. Governments spend money without care because it's not theirs. That's what they do. They don't care at all.
And don't you think when the North Korean delegation called this hotel, what was the name of the hotel, Pam? The one the Fullerton? And they called up and said, hi, we're the North Korean delegation coming to Singapore for the peace talks. They immediately jacked up.
Of course.
I think so. I think there's going to be a premium charge with all the trouble North Korea has caused. They saw it as an opportunity. Said, you know what?
So you think we
can probably get $6,000 a night. Let's put it out there.
It is. I should say it is an expensive place. I picked up the tab for a sushi bar that we went to, and it was like $500 for 4 people. So it's a pricey
That's what you
place.
Said.
Well, that's what I put on my report. Anyway.
It does seem, if you read the English press, there's a serious point to this. But Cathy, one of the English press versions you get out of North Korea is that they do not want to be seen as looking to get handouts or economic incentives in the United States. Our read is very different, that they are to extract some sort of concessions on nuclear technology. But they take this issue very differently than we do. So how is this ultimately handled, or should be handled? Do we just quietly say, okay, we'll handle it?
The hotel?
Yeah.
Well, that's what the Washington Post said. It has to be done in a discreet manner. So this is not discreet at all. And they've done it before.
Well, we're all for transparency.
Right. And apparently it usually is transparent. This is the way it's done. This is the way it's always done. So I don't know why they want to be discreet this one time.
You look at a satellite of North Korea and South Korea at nighttime, and you see South Korea is all lit up no matter what part of the country you go to. You look at North Korea, it's all black. They have zero economic growth in North Korea. Zero economic growth.
Maybe they just don't stay up late.
Well, because they don't have anything resembling the free market. And then they come to say, we're supposed to be introducing them to the life in the real world where there's a free market. And we expose them to this, where nobody can afford to pay $6,000. There's something wrong with this.
Neil, you know what I say? Why don't we just pass the hat around at the United Nations, let everybody throw a few bucks in? I think we can get it covered.
I think you're right. Even the congressman was saying a little while ago, they could all combine their points in Congress and we could deal with this. But the talk is that ultimately make a deal, we're going to be forking over a lot of money to North Korea. Not on just hotels. I'm just saying that their draw to coming to the table with us is the money they could get from us. Do you agree with that?
Well, I don't know if that's going to be the case, but really, if you look at ultimately what price we have to pay to have a safe planet, is, what's that worth?
But with an unpredictable leader on both sides, is anything really going to come out of this anyway? So is a lot of money going to be spent for nothing to come out of
You were
this?
okay with the hotel thing a minute ago.
Well, $373. I'm okay
It's
with my
not
deal. The deal
6,000.
I found, I'm okay with.
Cathy, I think the difference is on this go-round, I don't disagree with you on the unpredictability of North Korea. However,
And Trump.
those
Both.
sanctions,
You actually,
are...
a couple of weeks ago, you said you trusted.
I didn't say I trusted him more.
trust
I
the
said
North Korean leader more than Donald
I
Trump?
said
That's outrageous.
both are as unpredictable. Both leaders
that's
are as
outrageous.
unpredictable.
You don't really believe that.
They're unpredictable in their
Really?
own special ways.
One guy's
Yes.
killed millions of his people.
Trump is very unpredictable
hasn't
in
killed
his
anyone.
own
Donald Trump
way.
hasn't
I haven't
killed
said he's
anyone.
killed
Not to
anyone.
mention his own brother.
I haven't said he's killed his brother.
By the way, the great thing about this segment, we were supposed to be talking about Robert Mueller.
Yes,
I'm
we
so
were.
glad we
That
didn't.
saved us in there.
Neil,
Talk
here's
about
the
a guy who
difference.
spends money.
Neil, the difference in this go-round, I believe the sanctions are really being felt in North Korea. And
that's
it's bringing
what
them to the
changed.
table.
So much so they can't afford anything, including
Right.
a hotel room.
Main thing is sanctions being felt in China. I think that's really what twisted the arm of the North Koreans.
Well, I think you're right about that. Guys, thank you all very, very much for a good read on stuff. And